Hello, my name is Melanie and I've been doing amateur theatre for 4 years. Number one is commitment. I would say it's probably the most important thing you need to know when you're going to get into theatre. You can't just think that you're going to audition and get a small part and it'll be something that's like really easy and you can just do it on the weekend or something. You've got to be prepared to go to every rehearsal even if you don't necessarily feel like it. Like some days you might want to stay at home and watch your TV show or something. But if you're going to commit to a part and you're going to commit to being in a play, you've got to go to every rehearsal. Well, unless you have a very good reason, like, I don't know, you're in hospital or something, that's what they say. But, like, I knew, recently I'm doing a show and there's a guy in it that he doesn't like theatre, but he often says yes to doing it just to help out and stuff, so he says yes to a small chorus part or something just to add to it because they don't have enough guys or something, which, I mean, it's often in amateur theatre that they don't have enough young men, so it's understandable why he would say yes to it because it's his friends and he wants to help out. But his problem is he thinks because he doesn't like doing it, that means he doesn't have to commit. But the way I see it is that when you say yes to doing a part, that's a type of like guarantee or promise or something that you will actually commit to doing it. And like he doesn't come to rehearsals purely because he doesn't feel like it. He's not unwell, he doesn't have to work, it's just because he doesn't feel like it. And that's not fair on everyone else. It's unfair to the cast, to the director, to everyone involved in the production, because everyone needs to see what the show is going to be like on a whole. So if we have to continually skip the bits that this guy's in because he's not there, it doesn't work. So if you're going to do a part, if you're going to audition for a show, you've got to be prepared to commit to it. Number two is to have an open mind. I would say, like, when you're auditioning for a play, you have to be aware that you will have to do things that you won't necessarily consider acceptable, you won't necessarily want to do. Like I've had to swear. I've been in a play, it was called Teachers, and we all had to swear, and we all had to talk about things, some like drugs and alcohol that we wouldn't normally talk about, because we weren't brought up to talk about that kind of thing. But in theatre it's different. You don't have those sort of standards you would normally have. It's acting. Nobody's gonna come up to you and say, no, you can't swear, because you're not actually swearing at them, you're acting, it's something else. And it's the same, like sometimes you have to cross dress. Like I've had friends that have to dress up as ladies and wear fishnet stockings and stuff on stage and sing about completely ridiculous things, but they still do it. They are having an open mind, they're aware that they have to do that, and they're not going to complain and say they don't want to do it, because that's not what you do when you're in theatre. So if you're going to audition for a play, remember to have an open mind. You may not necessarily have to, it could be a perfectly innocent play, but sometimes you have to do things that you won't always want to do. And number three is not to bring your baggage to the theatre. It's kind of well known that you don't, but some people don't really, I don't think they really get it, that you can't, like, for example, recently I'm doing a play and one of the ladies brings her baby. Well, I don't know, it might not be her baby, she was babysitting or something, but she brings her to the theatre. The baby jumps and runs on the stage and screams and runs around and stuff, and it distracts all the other actors. But also she is too busy acting to look after the baby and to keep her calm and stuff, so it falls to the other actors, like me for instance, to have to babysit them when I'm not on stage. And that is something you definitely can't do in theatre. You can't bring your baggage. That's definitely an important thing to know. Like, also sometimes if you're having an argument with someone, you don't necessarily like a person, you have to let that go when you're on stage with them. You can't let that affect the way you're going to perform when you don't like someone, and you can't argue backstage. Of course, there always will be specific circumstances where you have to bring your baggage, like if a family member is in danger or you're worried about them or something, you can't help being worried, you can't help being depressed sometimes at rehearsal, and that will always like affect your performance, but there's certain degrees of it, like you can't bring larger amounts of baggage into your rehearsals. Number 4 is you got to be prepared to work more than you originally planned, especially if you're given a bigger role with like solos or like 300 lines or something. You got to be prepared to work outside the hours that were originally stated at the beginning. So you might have to have extra practices with the director, you might have to practice at home, you might have to have lessons, and it depends on what you're doing, because you might already know how to sing without having to practice extra, but you always got to be prepared to work more than you have to, and sometimes you need, the directors and the production team need help back out the back, like with the painting, the set and stuff, and you can, if you're in amateur theatre, that's something that you sort of, well, you don't have to do it, but it's a good thing to do, to always help other people. Number 5 is to learn your lines as early as possible, especially if you have quite a lot of them, because if you want to get into character, your script is the biggest thing that stops you from doing so. Like, if you're on stage, you have to walk around with a script the whole time, you don't pay attention to other things like body language and stuff that you have to have as this particular character. So it's really hard to actually get into character if you don't learn your lines. So the best thing to do is to learn them as soon as possible. There are ways that that help you to learn lines. Particularly, I've found you learn lines easier if you do it with someone else. You practice with someone else reading the other lines and you try and remember them. Trying to just read over them I've found doesn't really work. This is number 6. I think is not to be a diva. That's actually, I think, it's really hard not to do sometimes, especially when you have like big ideas about how talented you are, and sometimes it's in people's personalities to act like a diva, and they can't help it, but it's the thing that directors I've found really don't like, acting like on stage, acting like because you have a bigger part that makes you somehow better than other people. That doesn't work. You've got to be humble about your own abilities, otherwise you will never learn anything new. There's been people in plays I've done that are very, very, very big divas. Like, they sort of think they can tell everyone else what to do and override the director's orders, yet also be the star of the show, which it doesn't work because everyone has their specific jobs, and undermining the director is just, no, you never do that. You just listen to the director, even if you don't want to, and divas. And I think the worst thing is when there's a diva that has very limited talent. Like, I've known people that think they are, well, the star, but they actually can't sing, so they sort of shout off key among the chorus, and it's why nobody likes it, and it's not good for the picture of the show as well. So if you really want to be an actor, or if you really want to be good at acting at least, even in amateur theatre, you always have to be humble about your own abilities and never put other people down. Number 7, well, the 7th thing you need to know before you get into theatre is that it's quite possible that you'll never leave, especially if you like it. Say you do your first show, you do one show, you really enjoy it, you like the environment, you like the people, and you like the experience of performing in front of an audience. I would say you're never going to leave it, because I've met people that have been doing it for over 50 years and they still enjoy it just as much as they did when they were younger. They never stop liking it because it's different every time. So they never actually leave, even when, like, there's a director at our theatre, she's in her 70s and she's still doing it, and it's a bug. It's quite addicting. So if you're going to get into theatre, you've got to be aware that you may never leave it. Number 8 is that it's quite a sort of a stereotype, or it's a cliche idea that getting the lead role is ultimately the best option, but I've found from experience that the lead role is never actually the best role. The lead role is often it's dull compared to the supporting characters, the comic relief. Like, for example, I think The Wizard of Oz, playing Dorothy would be much, much more dull than playing, say, the Scarecrow or the Tin Man, because they're funny and they've got a big sort of personality that you can just act out and you can make people laugh, and that is so much more fun than playing the innocent heroine that is very stereotypical. Number 9 is to have energy. It's easy to sort of, say, stay up really late or something, and you know you've got a rehearsal. It's not the thing to do though, because it's not fair on everyone else when you're tired and low energy at rehearsal. It just annoys the director specifically if you're not like full energy. Like if you're in a chorus and you have to do a big dance and you're sort of half pieing it with a grey face, then that won't work for anyone. So especially before the show nights, you've got to make sure you eat enough before you leave, you've got to make sure you drink, and you've got to make sure you don't do silly things the night before, like drinking and having a hangover when you got to go to the show, or staying up really late so you're super tired, or, well, I mean, you can't help getting sick, for example. Like, you can't help that, so you have to be sick on stage. Like, you know, the show always goes on, but there are things you can stop yourself from doing, there are things you can do that will make it so that you have a better performance. So, always try and keep your energy up, well, when you can. Number 10, you don't have to be good at it to get in. Well, this is only for amateur theatre. Obviously in professional theatre, you'd have to know how to sing and dance and act. But in amateur theatre, it's not really about that. If you don't know how to sing, they'll work around that, and they'll often give you a part even if you don't really know how to do anything. As long as you have a good attitude about it, you just gotta give it your best and always be positive about it, and that will earn you a good reputation among the directors. Thanks for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed those, my knowledge anyway. You can like, comment, and please subscribe.